All right, everybody, this is Mike from the last Corvette. I'm going to do take two on my Pioneer 1500 NEX head unit that I installed years ago now. If you Google or search Pioneer 1500 NEX, you will find that this particular model is still for sale on various websites. But I believe currently they run a 1550, which is the upgraded version of this head unit. And they also have a 1450 or something like that, but I'll explain the difference when I get in. Now, no promises. This thing's been sitting not on the trickle charger. As you can see, that's the reason I always leave the hood up. So let me give you guys a little background first. So the original video that I did, everyone pretty much stated that it sucked, and yes, it did. I was focused in on so many different projects. I never really got to show you guys what this head unit is all about and how everything is laid out. Now, I can say this, if you go to my original videos, I do show the box, the model, all of the components that you need to convert your stock head unit, regardless if it's a base or if it's a like a LT2 LT3 type setup. But one of the things about C6s from this era, none of them really had all of your options that we're so accustomed to, right? Your, we'll say, creature comforts. Later on models had Bluetooth, that is correct, but none of them ever had your Apple CarPlay, your Android capability, right? So basically, in kind of a big picture, you couldn't play videos, number one. You couldn't pull up your Google Maps. You couldn't pull up your Waze. Well, other apps do you use? One thing to remember about all of these head units, this head unit will run you like right around $500 or under 500 depending on the sales and where you get it from. Plus, you're going to need all of the plug and play harnesses, a couple other relays. Like I said, if you actually search my channel, you will see all of the components that you need, and those components cover a base model or your fully loaded LT3 from that era. Couple of things that you need to know. The more expensive models do come with a dedicated or a built-in navigation. This one doesn't, and this is very common even in today's OEM market. You know, if you get like a low trim or middle of the lineup, we'll say, your navigation will be driven off your phone. This is exactly how this works. If you start looking at head units that have built-in nav, well, those are close to $800-900. Another thing to remember, always buy Pioneer, Kenwood, or Alpine. You will never go wrong. A lot of times they will outlive the car. Don't ever buy the cheap, do-it-all type head units that you see on eBay coming straight from China. There's nothing to do with China or South Korea, Japan. What I'm saying is, those are just like, I call them home kits. And if you want to spend your money and waste your money, do it. But I would just focus in on name brands that have been around for decades. So a couple of things. The reason I upgraded this head unit, obviously, is because of the creature comforts. I also added a backup camera and a front-facing camera. This particular model, if you ever search through Pioneer, Kenwood, or Alpine, you'll see that they do make head units that have one dedicated backup camera or a camera input like this one, and then you have an auxiliary. So my auxiliary video input, which could be anything, is my front-facing camera, and then the dedicated one is the backup. They do make upgraded models where you have two dedicated camera inputs, and then you have auxiliaries as well. So you can do a lot of things with that. Besides cameras. Now, this head unit is installed. As you can see, it has a outer trim bezel, what they call it a dash kit, has a plug and play harness. There's another little relay that's for the front facing auxiliary input, meaning that since it doesn't have two dedicated backup camera or camera inputs, you basically have to trick it out. And you know, things are getting a little bit more complicated versus back in the day where you had either a constant negative or a constant positive to think that the vehicle was in park or e-brake was set. But I have it set up really easy. So the head unit is here. The mic for the Bluetooth is right on the A-pillar, nice and clean, out of the way. If you're sitting on it, you can barely see it. I don't even notice it. And then, of course, in the center armrest, you have your USB. This is your charge port. This is also your COM port to your head unit, so you can play videos, you can charge your phone, you can display your Waze or your Google Maps or whatever you got on the screen. And one of the things is, if you want to spend the money to a dedicated nav, do it. But like I said, even most newer vehicles come with the Apple CarPlay or Droid, because when I drive this vehicle, the area where I live, I know pretty much everywhere I'm going. So I'm only using navigation, I don't know, a couple of times a year maybe, or a season, I should say. But at the end of the day, I also use Waze a lot. So if I'm going to do something, a little crazy, or I'm testing something out, I would rather go and put up Waze on my screen and see where the police is, type of thing. But anyway, yeah. So I ran this. Let me zoom out. It's a little dark in here. But anyway, so this is the USB input that comes with the head unit. I ran it under the center console, and I got my USB charge cable connected. Obviously, this is an iPhone setup, but you can charge, play music. Like I said, all of your apps go through here, or you can just Bluetooth into your head unit and play music, receive calls, stuff like that. All right, so now the moment of truth. Let's see if we actually have juice on this C6. All right. I don't know if it's going to start, but it should be enough to at least show you guys this Pioneer. So right now it's booting up. All right. So this is how I left it when I pulled in. Obviously, the time was off. I'm not going to change it because I'm not going to drive it during the winter months. Now, this is front auxiliary input, so it's giving you a warning: don't drive, don't do this. This is actually triggered off the relay to trick the head unit into thinking that the vehicle is either in park or e-brake mode, but you can still trigger it off while you're driving. And once you confirm the first time and you basically have the vehicle on, you don't have to go through this. So this is the front-facing camera. Now, this head unit here, the 1500, and I believe the 1550, it does have basically a CD or a DVD slot here, so you can actually run, movies or listen to CDs. Kind of an old school approach, but it's kind of like a DVR type setup. On the 1450, you don't have that option. And the buttons, instead of being vertical on the left side of the head unit, they're on the bottom. But overall, we'll say the approach is the same. On all these head units, most of them, you can change the color of your control buttons. So you can, make them like green, red, blue, whatever you want. This here is your home button. Now, you can also change the background. I got the cross flags. That is very easy to do. You just need a USB stick, and you use this port to upload the files. You can Google it or go on the Pioneer website, but I also did a video on, I believe I did a video on the background and also how to update the firmware. When it comes to your layout, it's very simple. You got date, you got time. This is for your Bluetooth. If your phone is connected, you got your settings. This here will be basically blank until you connect your phone either via Bluetooth or the USB cable there. This is your radio. And lower that down. Go back to home. Now, as I stated before, once you confirm just the auxiliary, right, you can just click on that and it will bring you back right to the front-facing camera. So you can see it's looking at the chop saw. So I'm going to go back out of here. If you expand this kind of gives you more of the options. So you got radio, audio, video input, which, like I said, could be anything. For me, it's the front-facing camera. You got your rear-facing camera. Now, the rear-facing camera is not going to come on because of how it's triggered. It's actually triggered. The vehicle needs to be running because I'm actually pulling the trigger off the computer, and I might be able to show you guys how that works. Actually, let's see if I can put it in reverse and show you guys. When the vehicle is running, no, it's not gonna work. So let me, instead of booting up the vehicle, let me kind of just go through So you got Bluetooth, you got disc, obviously, as I stated before, you got USB. Now, the USB option is when you do plug in your USB stick, you create a folder and you can put your background pics on there, and that's how you either you can play music or you can transfer your background pictures onto the head unit. You got your iPod capabilities, you also got your XM, FM, you got your auxiliary, which that's the 2.5 mil jack that nobody uses. You got your Pandora, Spotify, basically sources off, power off. Very, very simple. When it comes to settings, you can drag some stuff into favorites. This is all your system, your tones, input, output settings, camera settings, all that stuff. Like for camera settings for triggers, for example, you can use either a positive or a negative. This here is what I told you guys about the background. Obviously the color of, like, look at this, you see how it changes to red. So you can change a lot here. Theme, clock, all that stuff. This is your equalizer, all that stuff that you got for your audio. Settings, this is for your DVD setup, video signal, stuff like that. And then obviously this is your Bluetooth. Very, very simple to use, but like I said, Creature Comforts obviously is your reverse, front-facing camera, your Bluetooth, and of course the plug and play for your, for your audio, video, and of course for your Bluetooth. I'm actually going to try to plug my phone in. I don't know how well this is going to work. It might cut out. Maybe not. All right, so yeah, as soon as I plugged it in, it cut out. But anyway, now I got you guys back on, anyway, so it says iPod or whatever, it's your cell phone technically. So if you go to Apple CarPlay, now the screen is enabled. This is your Google Maps. As you can see, this is your nav. You can go to Waze. This might be Waze. Yeah, is this Waze? Yep, this is Waze. So, you got all that stuff on, you got your music, what else is there? Mike's iPhone, WebLink. Some of the stuff I don't really use, so I don't know. But even though this unit's been out for a long time, you do have... So yeah, cut out again just because I'm messing with the video source. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You got all your settings here. This is your, obviously, Apple CarPlay. You got your Google Maps, phone, basically everything that you would have on your, normal vehicle, even Teams app, if you're making calls, WebEx, that's stuff that I have downloaded. But anywho, this is pretty much it. Let me see if I can turn the ignition on to show you guys the backup camera here. This might be it here because that's full ignition. All right, let's load it up. And it just helps, some people like to go through and, keep their stock head units, but people need to realize that all of this stuff is basically reversible. Nothing is cut. So there you go. So I got my ignition on, like I said, because I need to power up the computer, because this is actually wired in like it would be from OEM, where when I put in reverse, that's actually what triggers the camera to come on. So there you go. But yeah, like I said, basically in a nutshell, I'm just going to disconnect here. All of this stuff works like OEM. And especially when you're used to this stuff, you're never going to go back. And when you open the door on the vehicle, obviously the head unit turns off, just like OEM. And that's really it, guys. If you have any questions, hopefully this is a much better video, but comment below. But like I said, the big difference is the number of video inputs for dedicated cameras, and also either built-in nav or nav that's driven, or apps that are driven through your phone. Talk to you guys later. What is going on, everybody? So I did forget one, we'll say, important app or item that you can actually download onto your phone and use with your Pioneer head unit, which is Pioneer WebLink, right? I kind of showed you guys that little button. So what that does is you can play like videos, like let's say YouTube, with your phone connected right through your head unit. There's a couple of other things you can do, but it's basically a connection between your phone and the Pioneer head unit, because when you connect Apple CarPlay, you have to understand Apple CarPlay is limited, just like on current vehicles, where you can't watch videos, for example, while you're driving. And I'm not saying you should, but Pioneer does have a app where you can connect to your phone, and then you can, pretty much broadcast whatever's playing on your phone onto the screen of the Pioneer. So that's pretty much it in a nutcase. There's a couple other modules that you can buy to like show, for example, your metrics of your vehicle. Let's say RPM, oil pressure, stuff like that. I don't need it. I have a good DICF dash logic in my C6 Corvette on top of a AEM standalone gauge pod. So, but do some research, figure out what you want, what options you need, and make the right choice, which would be Pioneer, Kenwood, or Alpine, or in reverse order.